Thanks to the support as a channel member, Chris P. Yeah, we're back in Europe again today, Mrs Wearmouth. LOLLUJO in the second round of the Conference League. Genuinely, this tournament looks winnable. With your permission, I'd like to focus on this for the rest of the season and maybe accept that we might not finish top 6 in the league this year. You want me to do both? Super. Hello and welcome to part 131 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have both legs of our Europa Conference League second round game against LOLLUJO, who are off of Bulgaria. There you go. They wear a green shirt, apparently. Obviously don't have the kits for them. Is that their badge? That looks like that probably is their badge. But I would like to think that this is a team that we probably have the beating of, maybe. I should probably, before I get too excited, look at their European competition history. So they have been in the Champions League qualifying rounds most years, but never make it through. Sometimes they do make it into the Europa League. In fact, this year, they have made it into the Europa League. They finished third in Group A in the Europa League behind Copenhagen and Rennes. You know what? We've got to beat this lot. We absolutely have to beat them. And if we do, let's have a look at how the rest of the Europa Conference League is looking. Sporting are a tough team, I guess. Sevilla are still in here. I think we can win it. There's not much, is there? There is not much to be afraid of there, I don't think. Wolfsburg, maybe. Maybe. I mean, you look at Hearts and Hibs and Aberdeen and think they might be quite good, but then you remember that Fulneck has been on loan at both Hearts and Hibs in the last 3 years and been immediately considered their key player at both clubs, and he doesn't get in our team. In fact, we've loaned him out again. So I think this is definitely a winnable competition, but obviously to win it, we need to get through this next round. We're also slowly turning form around in the Premier League as well. You can see that we've got a couple of wins in there, nice little unbeaten run. This is what the Premier League table is looking like. We're in 10th place with 10 games to go. 6 points behind Arsenal, who are up in 6th place. I do think probably our best route to European qualification this year is through winning the Conference League, but it's not outside the realms of possibility that we can qualify through the league as well, or maybe instead of. Francisco is close to being Golden Boot winner as well, which would be lovely. But today, like I told Mrs Wearmouth, it is all about the Europa Conference League. And on that note, I'm bringing Alex Williams back into the side. He's going to be our Europe goalkeeper, I think. Perez can carry on playing in the Premier League. But we are switching back to the 4-3-3 for the away leg, at least. I think when we're back at our place, we'll probably go to the 4-2-4. And we've tried the 4-3-3 a couple of times in the league recently. We actually started the game against Manchester City with the 4-3-3. They were 2-0 up after 14 minutes. We then switched to the 4-2-4 and looked much better, but still ended up losing the game. So I suspect 4-2-4 might be our proper tactic now. But the 4-3-3, I think, away from home in Europe, you've got to be a little bit sensible. So Pasotti comes in to play at the base of the midfield for this game. So it's going to be Williams in goal, a back four of Peresato, Elias, Fazekas and Thomas, Pasotti behind Oliveira and Perez in midfield, and then Jordi and Park behind Francisco up front. I have been convinced by the comment section it is Jordi, because Jordi Alba, apparently it's a Catalan name rather than a Spanish name, so it becomes Jordi, not Jordi. So I apologise for saying his name wrong the last few days. I won't ever apologise about Villalobos because I can't do that sound with my tongue. But I can say Jordi. Jordi's easier than saying Jordi. So he's Jordi now, forevermore. Right, we've got an early throw here. It's Todd Thomas with the throw, and then comes back to him for the cross, and Francisco is there, and we have the all-important away goal early on in this tie. LOLLUJO 0, home 1 after 13 minutes. This is our first attack of the game. Thomas and Park combining nicely from the throw. Comes back to Thomas, hits the cross into the penalty area. Francisco's been left completely unmarked. And, I mean, that's his 24th goal of the season. How are you going to leave him unmarked in the penalty area when there's crosses flying around all over the place? Silly, silly goose. But 1-0 to us. We'll take that. And now LOLLUJO have a throw-in of their own but they've given it straight back to us through Perisato, and Perisato playing it across to Oliveira. Oliveira back to Perisato again, and he's got Thomas in acres of space on this side again. Ludogorets are playing a very, very narrow system. They've got that silly box formation in their midfield four, meaning Thomas and Perisato and Park and Yordi are going to get so much space out wide. Look at how much space Thomas has got there. He can he can get he get his calculator out, measure the physics of how to do the perfect cross here. He's there. Wait a minute, lads, while the Ludogorets team catch up with me. Just testing the wind direction. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready to hit this cross now, and there's still no one closing him down because they're giving him all the space. And that's why both our goals have come from there so far today. Elias now to Yordi, who plays it across, looking for Park. Look at the space Thomas has got again. If Park decides to use him, he doesn't need him. He's going to go and grab goal number 16 of the season. And like I say, winnable tournament right here, boys and girls. This is us away from home in our slightly more conservative tactic. And it's got to be said, Ludogorets have just got it wrong today. They've gone too narrow. They don't seem to be recognising that that's where the problem is coming from. Might be there's potential for slight criticism of the FMAI here, because I'd like to think even I, if I'd have put that system out, would have noticed by now that they're getting ruined in the wide areas, because that's where we've got all our best players. And they haven't noticed. And they've got a goal back, actually, which is that been given for offside? I mean, how the ref can judge that as offside from here? The linesman's here, the ref's here. It's got to go to VAR. The goal has been disallowed, but it'd be helpful if the match officials kept up with the play. Right, we are happy with how things are going so far. Couldn't be going much better. Ludogorets haven't changed anything. I think it really helps that we've got Passotti in there as well. So rather than them dominating the midfield, which I guess is what they were trying to do when maybe they thought they were going to be playing the 4-2-4, we've put the extra man in there, and our three are better than their four. So they're not even controlling the middle. They're swapping things around, trying different combinations in there and not getting anywhere with it. Right, we are going to take off Passotti. Djukic can come in and play as the holding midfield player. He's done that a couple of times for us now when we've been using this system. And I guess we just keep players fit. Veloso can come on to play on that right-hand side. Fazekas can come off for Rogers. That'll do nicely. Just stick him to be a normal defender and just see out the game now, lads. Let's drop a little bit of praise. We've been absolutely dominant. Let's just not mess up and do anything silly from here, because if we let them have a goal or two here towards the end of this game, it undoes all that good work we've done in the first half. Yordi now on the left-hand side. Because he's playing as an inverted winger, he's not quite taking advantage of this space in the wide areas as much as Park and Thomas are on the other side. We've got both Yordi and Perisato cutting in on this side, again, making it more difficult for Ludogorets to dominate that central midfield, which is why we're having so much fun on this right-hand side where we've got all the space again. Look at Thomas. He is having a lovely time out there today. He's just going to pick his spot once again. This time he's going for Perisato. You got to just applaud them. It's a lovely goal from Perisato. But Todd Thomas is having a storming game as an attacking wing-back who's not been marked at any point in this match. And it's beautiful. And look at that pass. He's not going to cross it. He's just going to lay it up perfectly for his buddy, his right back pal, to just absolutely smash it in for a screamer to make it 4-0. We've got a corner now. Can we put the cherry atop this cake in swinging corner? We don't. And now Ludogorets have got a little bit of a counter-attack on here. We've actually left this 2-on-2. And I think that is Thomas, who's been turned very easily there and didn't really seem to be keeping up with play, but has actually got in and made the clearance. So he knew what he was doing all along. If I'm the England manager watching Todd Thomas play today, he's in my next squad. I'm assuming he's English. I'm just going to check. Todd Thomas, are you English? We need to just do a little bit of a double check on the nationality situation of Todd Thomas. Todd Thomas is English. Get him in that England squad. He's just had a fantastic match. 3 assists and a 9.1 in Europe. Got to be in the England squad. Right, I'm going to play the Manchester City game offline. We'll come back for the second match against Ludogorets, and then the draw for the next round as well, as we look to continue our European adventure. Well, once again, we've used the 4-3-3 in the league and got absolutely smashed doing it. Started as a 4-3-3. We were 3-0 down inside half an hour, at which point we switched to the 4-2-4, got back into it a little bit, but it's becoming clear this system doesn't work in the league, which makes me think it doesn't really work at all, and we get away with it in Europe because we're playing against teams we're much better than. So back to the 4-2-4 for the second leg against Ludogorets. Williams in goal. Back four of Peresato, Elias, Fazekas and Thomas. Perez and Oliveira in midfield. Jordi and Park out wide. Francisco and Veloso up front. Let's see how this works out, shall we? At least we're getting to try it out against a team we've effectively already beaten. And if it goes really, really badly in the first 20 minutes or so, we've got the personnel on the pitch where we can just kind of shuffle it around into a 4-3-3 if we absolutely have to anyway. Might have to make one. We don't actually have a holding midfielder on the pitch, so we'd probably have to make one change. But if we have to make that change, we have to make that change. We're knocking some nice passes around here, though, very early on, still inside the first 30 seconds. Straight away, they've closed down Todd Thomas there. Have they actually learned from the first leg and decided to play with some width today? Veloso, Jordi. Oh, see, now that just needed a little bit of oomph to it. He's tried to trickle that under the goalkeeper and it didn't really get anywhere. They are playing a wider system today, so I don't think Thomas is going to have quite as much of a free rein as he had in that first leg. But it also means, even though we've reduced the number of midfielders that we have, we still shouldn't be dominated in there. They're playing with two holding midfielders and the one central midfielder. So if anything, Oliveira and Perez might still have plenty of time on the ball in there. Elias with another header that he's once again saved by the Ludogorets goalkeeper. They seem a little bit more up for it today. It's a shame for them that they're already 4-0 down from their home leg, because they certainly seem a little bit more competitive today, making a couple of decent saves, actually defending properly. Perez with the cross from the corner, and Fazekas this time can't direct his header goalwards. It remains 0-0. We're getting all of this early pressure. Perez with a corner again now, and this time Ludogorets get it clear, and Park isn't going to get there before their attacker, and they've got the opportunity for a little bit of a counter-attack here. Somebody needs to nip this in the bud, because I'm going to start to panic a little bit if they get the first goal. I think we've given away a penalty there. Have we? No? It's a goal kick. I mean, there was definitely a kick on the opponent's shin there, but we've got away with it, which I'm comfortable with. Thomas now from the throw. Back to Thomas again. Crosses over to Jordi. And finally, we get the breakthrough. His sixth goal of the season for Jordi, who, as the season has gone on, and we've switched him to playing as that inverted winger inside forward on this left-hand side, rather than trying to shoehorn him into being a striker, he is starting to make more and more goal-scoring contributions. And, I mean, I wouldn't say he's necessarily worth the 66 million we paid for him yet, but, you know, he might get there. Cross now from the free kick from Perez. Park can't get there. In fact, it wasn't Park. It was Francisco, I think, who misses the header. Park chases it out wide, crosses back into Fazekas, and it's 2 goals inside about 90 seconds for us here. But it's 2-0 up on the night, 6-0 up on aggregate, and I think we have our spot booked in, I think it's the quarterfinal next. So we are creeping ever closer towards interesting things happening in this first ever European campaign. I'm enjoying the Conference League. It's nice playing in Europe without having to play against anybody who's any good. It's a nice little novelty. Jordi with the cross, and Park nods down to Oliveira, and now Thomas has got himself a little bit of space this time, and they're alert to it because straight away they close him down and absolutely clatter him. On another day, that's a penalty, but I think they're being cut a little bit of slack today because we're dominating them as much as we are. Peresato now sliding it into Veloso, who's been quiet so far. His shot ends up rebounding clear to Oliveira and Perez, who are getting a lot of time just camped out midway through their half, where you would think their defensive midfield 2 would be, but they're basically forming a back 6, and they can't get out of their half. Elias finally grabbing his header. He's had about 3 or 4 opportunities to score that exact goal so far today, and we continue to pile on the pressure. We need this. After getting battered by Manchester City in the league, we needed a little bit of a confidence booster going back into whoever we face in the next round and whoever we've got coming up in the Premier League, because we do still need to at least finish in the top half of the Premier League, even if we're not going to qualify for Europe through the league and put all our focus on winning this competition. At least we've got to finish in the top half to stop Mrs Wearmouth getting a grumpy on. Right, we will, though, look to freshen things up a little bit in the second half. I think I'm going to give a good half hour to Jose and Wally. I think they're probably the two who are going to come on the hour mark, just to give them a little bit of European experience, a bit of game time. So Veloso can come off for Jose. We'll swap those two round. Oliveira can come off for Wally, and he can slot in there. And it just gives those two a little bit of game time. They've been a little bit light on game time recently. Jose always looks good when he comes on. I think his biggest problem that he's got is that he arrived in the same summer as Yordi, and we probably didn't need both of them. We just had the money for both, which is why we went for both. Right, Park with a long, mazy run that eventually ends in a tackle from the Ludogorets defender. And now they're in with a chance here. It's going to be Williams' first opportunity to show why he's our European goalkeeper. But he doesn't even have to make the save. They've not had a shot on target. I mean, I'm playing Alex Williams in goal just to be on the safe side. Absolutely don't need to in these circumstances, do we? Right, Francisco can come off for Villalobos for the last 10, 15 minutes or so. Give Villalobos another run out as part of his rehabilitation. He did score against Manchester City. I think he's, if he ends up being a long-term player for us, and if he has got his head right now, it's going to be a very interesting book that he writes at the end of his career about how he came in as the great saviour of home, the next big thing. Never made it, never really got into any kind of form, spent 2 years being crushed under the pressure of his idiot manager who decided he wanted him to be world beat straight away, turned to the drink, and then we partnered him up with Kieran Hodgkinson, who's been here since the beginning of time. Kieran Hodgkinson gets him back on the straight and narrow, and he ends up being the superstar we always thought he would be. That's the Villalobos story as I want to be telling it in 10 years' time. So fingers crossed, that's how it works out. 4-0 now, 8-0 on aggregate. This has been really rather comfortable. Look at the state of these match stats. We know for sure we're a lot better than Ludogorets. And now we just need to have the draw for the next round. As long as we avoid Sevilla, I think Sevilla are the big team. If we can avoid them, then anything can happen. It looks like they draw the quarterfinal and the semi-final in one go. So we're going to be able to have a proper look about what our run-in is likely to be for the rest of this season. So can we have that draw now, please? It's definitely happening today. Here we go. So quarterfinal, then semi-final. So still in the competition, Aberdeen, Utrecht, us, Sevilla, Nordsjælland, Hibs, Sassuolo, and Wolfsburg. So really, we want to avoid Sevilla or Wolfsburg. I'm comfortable with any of the rest of these. Aberdeen, yeah, we'll take Aberdeen. Aberdeen versus Hibs, Sassuolo. And where are they in the Serie A? They're 6th. So they're basically Italian equivalent of us, managed by Steven Gerrard, whose managerial career took him from Rangers to Brighton to Forest to Bournemouth, Blackburn, Crystal Palace, West Brom, and now in Italy with Sassuolo. I've never known how to say the name of that club. I think they actually might be a half-decent side. Might have underestimated them a little bit. They're a long-term top 6 Serie A team, so they're probably looking at that thinking, yep, we're better than them. And then that rounds out the rest of the draw. So now we get the semi-final draw as well. So if we do make it past this lot, we want to continue to avoid Sevilla. So we'll take this one, please. I mean, to me, that's a route to a final. Sevilla, a former non-league to legend end club. It's all shaping up for home versus Sevilla in the final with a spot in Europe at stake, although Sevilla are probably going to get into Europe regardless. You know what? They might not. Pochettino's their manager. These real-life managers are getting everywhere. Goodness me. Right. That will be tomorrow then. We will face Sassuolo, both legs, Conference League quarterfinal. Better get that job done, eh? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.